Alrighty, shall I start out?
Yeah, sure. It looks like, some of you have used the new PubMed, but a majority of you have not, which is okay. That's why Andy's here today. So I'm going
Yeah,
to let Andy get started. He is our education and outreach librarian for the Wood Library. Thank you so much, Andy, for hosting today's session. I'll let you get started.
thanks, Vanessa. I'm pretty excited as well. I started on May 1st virtually, and I'm really looking forward to working with all of you. So this session assumes that you already have some experience with PubMed. If you'd like a more beginner level introduction to PubMed, email me and I'd be happy to schedule some further training. It looks like as Vanessa said, the majority of folks on this call have not used new PubMed yet. And that'll be great because you're going to be looking at it with fresh eyes. So today we are going to start by identifying and describing key enhancements in the new PubMed, which include responsive design, search results display, and the ability to copy formatted article citations. I'll share some resources for learning more and where and how to get help with PubMed. We'll have plenty of time to answer any questions you have, and time permitting, we'll also review some useful techniques and features for experienced PubMed users, including how to use Weill Cornell's link for PubMed to access article PDFs. In addition to the features that you've come to rely on, the new PubMed includes some great display, navigation, and output improvements. It has a cleaner look, it's more intuitive and easy to use, and I'll highlight a few of the new features. I should note that the following slides are adapted from the training deck developed by the National Library of Medicine, which administers PubMed. The biggest visible change for us as PubMed users is that it's now a lot easier to use on our phones and tablets. About half of PubMed's traffic is now coming from mobile devices. This is really crucial for those of you who provide patient care, since it allows you to search for answers on your phone instead of having to find the nearest workstation and do it there. You can now see snippets from the abstract where your search terms or terms mapped from your search terms appear. These are the bolded terms that we see in the example here. Looking at an individual record, the features new to PubMed include a cite button, which I'll show you in just a moment, social media links, which provide you a link back to PubMed that you can share, and a navigation menu to quickly get you to the part of the record that you're interested in. So the new cite feature allows you to quickly generate a properly styled citation in AMA, MLA, APA, or NLM citation format. You can also download the citation in .dot and bib format, which is a standard citation format used widely in reference management software. So, for example, EndNote. You can now page through your PubMed results from the abstract screen instead of having to click back to the results page to read the next article. This makes it easier to browse through results. Also, if you hover your cursor over the previous result or next result arrow, an excerpt from the previous or next result will pop up. There are some other technical improvements in the new PubMed, which are just in general going to make it more effective and more efficient for you as a searcher. While these enhancements are of a lot of interest to librarians and other advanced searchers, some of this may be too technically in the weeds for some of you. I will take a couple of minutes to go over these, just in case there's anyone who's interested in learning more about these sort of back-end features. So the first is something called the citation sensor, which is a feature that helps find a specific article that you're searching for. So for example, if you know the year, journal, and first author. The citation author improves over time. The more that PubMed users run searches, the better it does at finding you what you're looking for. So it's learning over time. In addition to the familiar automatic term mapping to medical subject headings, or MESH, The new PubMed includes additional useful synonymy, including plural forms. The new PubMed system comes with better mapping between British and American spelling, so you don't have to worry about including variant forms in your search. So for example, do we have that extra A in anesthesia that the British use, or does the article only use the American spelling? You don't have to worry about that anymore. Whereas the legacy PubMed used only the first 600 variations of a truncated stem, the new PubMed features unlimited truncation. So I have a few examples of these that I can demonstrate once we switch to the live demo. The best match sorting algorithm will bring the most relevant results to the top of your search results. So we only have 45 minutes today, and I've only scratched the surface of the useful functionality in PubMed. Again, before we switch to the live demo, I want to take a minute to share some useful resources for those of you who might want to learn more. First, of course, the library faculty and staff are always available to answer any questions you might have about PubMed. We also offer PubMed training. If you'd be interested in a longer PubMed refresher training with more time for hands-on activities, email me and we can schedule something. The library has online guides to all kinds of information tools and resources, including one for PubMed. It contains step-by-step instructions for the most common things you need to do in PubMed. If you're looking for a self-paced introduction, the official PubMed online training is a good place to start. And last but not least, the PubMed user guide is a good reference source if you need to quickly look up how to do something in PubMed. So let's just review the big takeaways about new PubMed. First, it now has a responsive design that facilitates mobile access and helps you get full text more easily than before. The new PubMed boasts some great new display, navigation, and output features. And there are improvements to retrieval, including enhanced synonyms, more plural forms, better translation of spelling between British and American spellings, and unlimited truncation. So I'm going to conclude my slides there, and we are going to switch to live demo. Vanessa, can you just confirm to me that you can see my desktop?
Yes, I can.
Oh, awesome. Okay. All right. So the first thing that I want to go over as a refresher is something that we all need, which is how to get full text. If you haven't already bookmarked Weill Cornell's library, the Wood Library's website, the URL is library.weill.cornell.edu, or you can always just Google Weill Cornell Library and it should pop up first. Once you're on the home page, our link to PubMed is down here under Popular Resources on the left-hand side of the page. So what we are looking at now is new PubMed. And let me just walk through the process for getting full text. I already have an example of an article up. This is an article on PPE, which I think will be of interest to a lot of people on this call. And what we're specifically interested in is this little red Get It at WCMC button. This button only shows up if you've navigated to PubMed from the library homepage, or if you are using this specific URL. So you'll notice at the end of this URL, there's this little, the part that starts with the question mark is this little parameter that is telling PubMed that you are a Weill Cornell user or an NYP user and that you want to be able to access our article subscriptions. So I would encourage you, this is another thing that you'll probably want to bookmark on your own personal computer, just so you can easily get back to this version of PubMed. If you're just launching a browser and going to pubmed.gov, you're not going to see, it's not going to take you to this URL, and you're not going to see the little red button that we need to get full text. Now, having said that, obviously, PubMed does include other links to full text, which you can use. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. the little red button is going to be the most reliable way for you to get articles through PubMed. So what happens when I click that little red button? Thinks for a little while. And then it takes us to, this is what librarians call a link resolver, and it's a little magic technology device that helps connect you, the end user, with articles through Weill Cornell subscriptions. So we can see it says full text available at Cochrane Library. I will open that up, and let's see if it takes us to the full text. Sometimes there are a few extra clicks involved to actually get you to the PDF. So the next thing that we see is we get our regular Seaweed login. I'm just going to click login. And it takes us then to the page for this particular article. This is a Cochrane Systematic Review. And the PDF might be in different locations on the page depending on what the journal is or what the source is. So I'm just going to look for that PDF. I'll click on that, and let's just do the standard. And it'll think for a while. And voila, we got full text for this article. Going back to this little red button screen, sometimes we'll have it online and you'll use one of these links. Sometimes we will not have access to it, and in that case, you'll look for this request from WCM Interlibrary Loan Services, and you can click on that and fill out the form. It should auto-populate from all of the information from the reference, and pretty much all you have to do is click the submit button. So that is the most important thing that you're probably interested in, is how do I get article PDFs? While we're looking at this particular article, another thing I want to highlight is if you look in the URL, all articles in PubMed, at the end of the URL, have this little number. And this is the PMID, the PubMed identifier. And this is the unique identifier you can use to find any article in PubMed. So for example, if I wanted to, I could just highlight that and do a quick search in PubMed. And it takes me right there. Moving back to the home page, let's do a simple keyword search for personal protective equipment. You'll notice that it's auto-suggesting popular searches. And we'll do personal protective equipment, do disinfect. So you'll notice that for those of the 40% or so of you all who use only, I'm sorry, for the 60% of you who haven't used New PubMed, you'll notice that the search results page looks a little different from the way it did in old PubMed. One thing you'll notice, I mentioned earlier the new sort order. I've already been searching in PubMed today. I can change our sort by clicking here, and let's change it to, oh, this is really interesting. Oh, okay, so change the sort to best match. So I mentioned best match earlier. This is something that wasn't available in PubMed until probably last year. And it's made the process of looking for search results a little more Google-like. Google has really good relevancy searching, and now we have that in PubMed, which makes it easier to use. And you'll notice that the 2016 Cochrane review that we pulled up earlier floats to the top, and that's as it should. It's because this is a really important paper in the history of research on decontaminating PPE. Now, if we don't want to use best match, we can also change it back to most recent, and that'll show us whatever is the newest one. So you can see there's actually, this is probably, this is a more updated Cochrane review, and it would have come out just this month. Let's see. On the left-hand side are what in PubMed are known as filters. And they include things like date filters, article type filters. I find this particularly useful because then you can very quickly see, is there a reviewed article on this topic? If it's a therapy question, has there been a randomized control trial on this topic yet? It really helps you narrow your search results down. One thing that you're probably used to in PubMed is you can get these really huge result sets. So for example, here we have over 1,200 articles, and by limiting these to, for example, guidelines, it's a way to really hone in and get that result set to a smaller amount, something a little more manageable for you to actually read through. I also mentioned the date results. The new date filter in PubMed is this sort of slider functionality. So I'll just drag the slider and let's go to stuff from, let's do the past 5 years. So this just gives us another way to reduce those retrieval sets so that we're not having to wade through as much stuff. You can also change what filters show up by clicking additional filters, which is sort of at the bottom of the filters. And so, for example, if you're doing a lot of animal research, you can filter it to other animals. You can limit to English only. If you are working in a specific specialty, or if your research question involves only one sex, you can do that there. You can use age limits, which can be really useful for those of you who are working with a specific age population, etc. So, for example, if I want to get these age limits to show up, why don't we do adult and child? And I'll click show. And now I can quickly filter to articles that are pediatric. The next thing I want to demo is how to export your search results to EndNote and other citation managers. So for that, we are going to use this Send To button. And I'll select Citation Manager. You can choose which ones you want. And this is something you really want to pay attention to because the default is set to all results on this page. Actually, I'm going to clear these filters so we have a few more. Click Send To Citation Manager. And I could change the selection to, I could select, like, kind of cherry pick what results I want. That's one option. Or if I have a smaller retrieval set, I could do all results, and that would get me all. I think 1,200 is probably more than you probably want to import into EndNote, but it is possible to do. I'm just going to click cancel for now. There are other ways, other things you can do with your search results. You can email them to someone. You'll notice this save button. And that is something, this is functionality that takes me to the next thing I want to show, which is creating a MyNCBI account. I actually am already logged in. I'm just going to log in for the purposes of showing everybody how the account system works. If you use PubMed a lot, it actually is a really good idea to create your own personal account, and it doesn't take very long. Because you can do things like save searches, you can create lists of articles that you can share with colleagues and collaborators, and you can also change some of your other settings. You can create search alerts so you can get emails whenever there's a new article on a topic. So that login button is always going to be up here in the upper right. I already have an account created, so I'll just click login. And then once I'm logged in, I can click on my account, and I'll just give you a quick sense of the kinds of things that are available by clicking on my dashboard. So as you can see, I have searches saved as far back as when I first started using PubMed 10 years ago. So I could pull these up anytime I needed to. I have all kinds of collections that I've created for people that I've worked with. So for example, why don't we just pull this up? So this is a list of everything that I saved back when I created a collection for this particular project 10 years ago. And I also mentioned let's take a look at the saved searches, can be really useful. So for example, ultraviolet disinfection of N95s, I can click on that. And we can see that there are, so actually this takes us back to, this is really interesting. This takes us back to what the old PubMed looked like. And I can always switch back to the new view if I want to, kind of toggle back and forth. The last thing that I want to show is, and then we'll open it up for questions because I've been rambling for about 20 minutes. The last thing is advanced search. So you can always access advanced search right under the search bar here. I'll click on that. And that takes me to a search builder, which is, depending on how you prefer to search, that might be useful. I use it a lot just because I'm a librarian and I tend to have more specialized needs. But for your purposes, you're going to be more interested in the search history, which you can get to by scrolling down. So these are all of the searches that I've run just this morning. And I can easily go back and click on, let's go with, let me go with this one. And this pulls up my results from the search I ran earlier today. One thing to note is that this doesn't go back to previous sessions. So this isn't going to have, this only shows like things that I searched today. If I wanted to revisit one of these searches, I could click on the little 3 dots and I could save the search to my NCBI and retrieve it later. So advanced search is where you go to access your search history. All right, we probably have a ton of questions at this point. I'm gonna open up the chat and kind of work through them in order. All right, so first question, I'm just gonna kind of take these in order, I guess. All right. Big thanks to Diana, who's my manager, the associate director at the library, who's helped answer some of these questions. Let's see, so yes, I would encourage everybody to make a point of using that red Get It button. Another question that we're getting is how to filter journals with different impact factors. To my knowledge, there is not a way to, PubMed is not really, doesn't keep track of impact factors. For something like that, you're gonna wanna use Scopus or Web of Science. If any of the other librarians wanna jump in on this, I can show you how to access those. So for journal information, if you're looking for things like impact factor, you'll want to use Scopus or Web of Science, which are both linked under that popular e-resources list on the homepage. Okay, so another request, please show how you toggled from old view to new view. All right. Let's go back to, so it actually gets a little goofy because it shows up in some places and not in others. It doesn't show up consistently, we'll put it that way. I'm trying to think of a good, let's see if, I don't know if this is actually going to work, but let's see, PubMed, I'm just doing a quick search. We are keeping a track of the questions from the chat, and Nira, we will get back to you after this with a better answer to that question. All right. Question from John. Does the new PubMed address predatory journals in any way? And actually, this is a two-part question. So predatory journals, one issue, this is actually a very good question, and I probably first have to start out by defining what a predatory journal is, which is a journal that doesn't follow high-quality peer review processes, and it's very often a predatory journal will be established with poor peer review, and then they'll sort of like catfish you to get you to submit an article, and it's a journal that operates more for commercial purposes than for scientific reasons, would be probably the best way to describe it. So anyway, it's becoming an increasing problem. I don't know that there's any functionality in new PubMed specifically geared toward predatory journals. John, I would encourage you to, and actually we'll record this question and follow up with you. The librarians here do have some expertise in identifying predatory journals, and I imagine we may have a research guide with some more information on how you can avoid predatory journals. But one thing you always keep in mind when you're searching PubMed is you want to keep in mind not all of it is going to be peer-reviewed. There is going to be a wide range in terms of quality, so you have to really do some basic critical appraisal of your results. John also asked, does it make it easier to find retractions of articles found in a search? I'm going to see how quickly I can pull up the Wakefield autism study, which might actually not even be in that anymore, because that's probably the best example. So actually that paper may not even be in PubMed anymore. So anyway, if you open up any article, you can see the retractions will show up right underneath the abstract. Now this particular article has not been retracted, but if it were, there would be a little link to the retraction. I would say it was pretty easy to find retraction information in the old PubMed, so I'd say it's about the same. Oh, and again, about the predatory journals and retraction, Diana's posted some good information, including a link for our research guide on predatory journals and the Retraction Watch database. Thanks, Diana. All right. Does it matter what service we use to log into MyNCBI via ERA Commons versus some other method? That is actually a question. I have always used MyNCBI, and I don't know for certain that all of the functionality that you get in MyNCBI is available in the other login methods. I suspect there may be one of the other librarians who can field that, but we'll get back to you with an answer on that. Let's see. Okay, so a question from Susan. To get this on device or phone, do we have to download anything in particular to have the library subscription access? No, you don't. You just use, I would recommend bookmarking that URL on whichever browser you use on your phone. The link that I showed earlier for PubMed, which or you can always, again, click that link from the library homepage. As long as you're using that link, those little red buttons will show up. Question from Teresa: for searches imported into EndNote, can PDFs be linked to the search? Usually I save in Search and Citation Manager to import into EndNote. There is a way to automatically get a lot of PDFs into EndNote there's a way to link up your EndNote basically with Cornell library subscriptions, and we can, I honestly am new enough that I don't know if there's like a tutorial or anything on the web on how to do that. I'll get back to you with that question. But in my previous employment at other institutions, there actually is a way to get most PDFs automatically imported through EndNote. Vanessa, I'm gonna buck this question over to you. You'll be sharing the PowerPoint after this, correct?
Yes, yeah. I'm going to be emailing some links to PowerPoint and also the video link to everyone who's registered. So I do have all your emails on file, and you should get that by the end of today.
Thanks. Let's see. How do you move imported reference to a specific EndNote library? Oh, I wish I could show you this. Again, because I'm very new, I don't have EndNote installed on my personal laptop right now. Otherwise, I would be able to demo it. Phyllis, this is another thing that we'll reach out to you afterward to show you how to do that. Very good question. That looks like all the questions.
There was one question that came to me privately, Andy, which was, are we able to access PubMed from an off-campus laptop?
Yes. In fact, I am also accessing PubMed. I'm accessing PubMed right now from an off-campus laptop. The library homepage is publicly available. You can access it from pretty much anywhere in the world. And so is New PubMed, also publicly accessible anywhere in the world. So as long as you're using this link, those little red buttons are going to show up. And then all you need is, when you click the little red button, have your seaweed ready so that you can authenticate, and that'll take you to full text or to the document delivery request. Okay. When we export the chat, we're getting a question about copying the links. Vanessa, let's, when we touch base after this, it looks like there's interest in getting the links that were shared in the chat as well. So John, we'll work with you to get those links to all of you after this. Vanessa, any other questions that I missed?
I don't see any more on my end. If you'd like, I could throw up that poll.
Yeah, let's do the poll. We have one more poll for all of you.
All right, everybody should see it on their screen. Again, this is anonymous, so feel free to answer candidly. Andy, just confirming, you can also see the results on your end, correct?
Yes, I can.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Looks like people are starting to leave and we're not getting any new responses. So I really appreciate your feedback. It looks like everybody really appreciated getting to know the new features in PubMed. And basically, I'm using this poll to help me figure out what was useful and what wasn't. And this is pretty much what I would have expected. I'm going to go ahead and end the polling, and we'll have this for future reference. So I am, at this point, Vanessa, if it's okay with you, I think we're ready to wrap up. I'd like to thank everybody again for joining. And as I said, if you'd like to arrange for more in-depth training, shoot me an email and we can get something scheduled.
Thank you so much, Andy, for hosting the session today. Really appreciate it. And thank you to everybody who joined us. Again, we'll be sending out some information from today's session after this, including the recording. And, feel free to share with some of your colleagues who may not have been able to attend today. But otherwise, have a good day. And thanks again, Andy.
My pleasure. Thanks, Vanessa.
Have a good one.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.